Hello everyone, this is my first episode on YouTube. If you have come from Instagram, thank you. I feel like everyone is very lazy on Instagram at the moment. That frustration has culminated into this. So YouTube has started. This, like I said, will be a weekly ongoing thing. Today's topic, I'm going to be talking about my experience so far as a strength and conditioning coach. So my experience so far has been incredible. I've loved every second of it. At first, I thought it was going to be very coordinated the whole way through, but it turned out that it very much was a slow burn to get started, which is probably the best thing that could have happened. It's been funny that I've sort of reverse stressed it, how as it's actually gone further in the experience, I've started to get more and more stressed about things. But I would say that's probably because there's just been more and more people at training, and there's literally just a little bit more pressure from sheer numbers. Most I've had at training has been about 40, 45. So that's the numbers I'm working with. And yeah, it's been great. I've been doing Monday, Wednesdays in the gym down at Jamison Oval, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays on field, which has been between Jamison and Wittangra, which I only just now learned how to pronounce. All right, so observation-wise, I want to start with the gym work. I came in with a nice, clear, easy program that I was expecting I would have to deliver to about 20 people. So I wanted it to be super basic, super deliverable, and easy to explain. So that was 2 times a week, full body, with almost exclusively free weights, because it's a change room gym. It's not huge. So what I've noticed now that they've been doing it for a little while is, even though I give recommendations on intensity, volume, and all sorts, I want them to actually make good results. I want them to be doing a recoverable volume so that they're fresh for training, and they can train well start of preseason all the way through to the start of the season. Couple things that I think have been holding them back. A lot of the time they like to go to failure super often, which is one thing that I think they could work on. And also, I just get a little bit of a vibe that the whole bro split is still a little bit rampant. One guy I've spoken to who I've really been trying to convince to go from push-pull legs to upper-lower, and that is simply because upper-lower and full body, I think, are only 2 options to split. Not necessarily upper-lower being the perfect ones, but splits that focus on 2 times a week frequency is going to be critical. So seriously, 1 times a week isn't enough, 3 times a week, way too much. 2 times a week, perfect, sweet spot, exactly what you want, okay? Whether you do the same exercises twice a week, or you like to have alternatives for the same body parts, that's much more up in the air. I personally still would prefer to go through the exact same set of exercises twice a week. You pick your favorites and you stick to those. That's going to help with consistency, and also just progress. You're constantly getting coordination gains, and then also muscle in the exact same fibers. You're getting hypertrophy in the exact same fibers the whole time. Yeah, so circling back to the program side of things, I haven't been able to track with apps like Team Builder or anything like that. I just don't currently have access to it. That would be really nice, because it would allow me to get a little bit more hands-on while still being efficient, and that would be nice, but it's a bit of a luxury. So work with what we have. With my programming from the start, I really would have liked, and I was actually hoping that I got one big presentation night with the whole team to really set them up for success. What's happened, because I didn't get one really good opportunity to sort of, establish a little bit of credibility, give a good foundation, is when these guys rock up to the gym sessions, it can turn into just, supervised doing your own stuff, which is okay. I obviously just would think that they'd make better gains from my exact programming. That's the whole point. So onto the field stuff, I've noticed a couple really big learnings, and they came from the first time I truly messed up a conditioning block and truly messed up explaining it. So I don't know what made me, but for whatever reason, I, on that day, wanted forwards and backs to have personalized programming that was down to the second and down to the sets with different rest, all that. Now, it's a good idea, but in reality, it just does not work. It is near impossible to explain in 2 sentences without stuttering once and making complete, unquestionable sense. So I set myself up for failure there. That's on me. My takeaways from that was everyone does the same sets and reps. You may just give forwards, backs, different body sizes, different fitnesses, different targets. Now that I say that, it sounds a lot like MAS training, so you can laugh at me for not just doing that. The other one I thought messed up was, like I said, the explanation. Not only the plan, but the explanation was poor. I had a 4 or so weeks run of just absolutely smoking at flow state on every single one. And that was because I was doing very light brief rehearsals of just the main points. So you're going to do this many sets, they're going to be this long, and you're going to get this much rest in between. I want you to run this hard, and it should feel like you're giving those 5 points really briefly, really clearly, so it's easy to follow, and you would rehearse them. On that day, I just didn't. So I didn't get any sort of practice. I didn't get any idea of how I wanted to say it, because you have to say it a certain way so it makes sense, because you're explaining it in layman's, whereas my brain works a little bit different. So my big learning from that was rehearse every time. You're not trying to memorize, you're just rehearsing. So that's something from Think Fast, Talk Smart, and I think I've seen a couple other places. But when you're trying to deliver things publicly and sort of spontaneous, you want to have rehearsal, but not memorization. As if you're trying to memorize something, you are worried about delivering it perfectly and not delivering it. Okay, so that was my big learning, was rehearse briefly so you know how you want to say things, and then just let it happen. And then everyone does the same sets and reps, same rest, but some people just have further targets, or just get a little bit of a just take it a little bit easier. That way you're still making consideration for people's load capacity and that sort of thing. The public speaking side of things. So obviously I'm only talking in front of 40 people, but at times it does get quite stressful. So namely when I get shorter notice and I have to think on the spot, I get I don't know, it's not the worst, but I'll get 10 minutes to come up with, a little 4-minute block where it's just about getting some good bang for your buck running in. That can be hard. I know it probably doesn't sound that hard, but in the moment I'm like, gotta be able to justify everything. That's my whole thing, is I want other people to say why they do stuff. So whenever I'm thinking of something to do, I have to justify it in my head before I'm happy with it. Quickly explaining those short blocks and trying to highlight where the value is in it can be challenging as well. This is why the good public speaking is so important. So you're under pressure, you're potentially a little bit stressed, and you want it to make sense and you want to look good when you say it. Anyone who wants to do something that's people facing in any way, shape or form, like working on your self-improvement, communication skills, is so valuable and so important, because it just provides so much cushion to everything. And by cushion, I mean it lubricates things, it makes everything just flow smoother. So if you, in the moment, can deliver it well, it helps in the moment. If you consistently deliver things well, it helps with people respecting you, it helps people want to converse with you a little bit more often, and it also helps with credibility. So even if I was to come in and I had full accreditation as a top level strength conditioning coach, but then I come in, everyone's expecting incredible things, and I struggle to communicate, it instantly takes away from things so much. But if you come in and you have not necessarily the utmost experience, not necessarily the gold standard of accreditation, but you communicate things very well, it gives you that cushion. People aren't so worried about, oh, should he be doing this, da-da-da. because you're making a good impression every time. I just think it can help with everything. Like, it is my biggest interest at the moment is public speaking. I've had a big opportunity come up at work with Fundamental as well. I'll finally get to do a presentation to a bigger group of people soon, I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, this is essentially just practice for that, so that's good as well. But yeah, it's just so valuable, so many different things, your personal relationships, your professional relationships, career, everything. And I just love trying to get better at it. Anyways, that is going to do it for today. That was quite the ramble. I can already tell there's going to be a lot of editing because I went on many tangents that you guys will not see. Even if this video is 8 minutes, it will be a starting point that I'll be able to build off well. What I would really appreciate if you guys could give me ideas, topics you want covered, and if you ever see any BS on Instagram, send it to me, and then I will happily react to it in videos like this. Just gives me a little bit more structure to work with. There you go. Subscribe.